Okay, Assalamualaikum. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I hope you have a good weekend, blessed weekend. Okay, for today, my session again with me, Miss NOORZAILATIL AKMA binti Muhammad Zain from Sekolah Menengah Tahfiz Al-Quran. Okay, just a reminder, just a brief refresher. Our session today is sponsored by Majlis Datuk-Datuk Negeri Melaka in collaboration with Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Melaka and Pejabat Pendidikan Daerah Jasin. Okay, and today I am live from PPD Jasin, and the focus of my session will be the paper that you are soon going to face, which is speaking test. But I will not focus on all three parts. Okay, specifically the pin or the focal point of today's session is on part 3 as well as on how you can answer HOT's question. Okay. Okay, before we start, let me ask you a rather simple question. Why speaking test part 3 is difficult or challenging? Okay, for my student, they used to say that part 3 is the most difficult part and challenging part because it tests their ability on how they interact with their friends or their partner. Or they need to keep their conversation in good flow as well as use good vocabulary to express their idea, to seek for agreement. Okay, that will be the reason based on my students' response. But for you, it might be different reason. Okay. Okay, let's proceed to part 3. Okay. Okay, what is basically part 3? Okay, this is just a refresher session. Okay, you have learned this throughout your school years this year with your teacher. Okay, this is just a revision and sharing session. Okay, part 3 is focused on discussion. Okay, this conversation on a topic, and you will discuss you will discuss a topic, and you will be given options where you need to clearly state your opinion based on the topic as well as the option. Okay, you have 2 minutes for that round. Okay, 2 minutes for both of you. For 2 minutes for you and your pair to express your thought on that topic using the option given. And for this part, you need to know how to take turn to answer the task. Okay, you need to take turn, keep your turn during the task so that your session will go smoothly and in good flow. And for part 3, it is essential, it's vital for you to use suitable technique. Okay, your teacher might have guide you with various technique. You have PEE, you have peer technique, you have Sora Sora, you have MEE. Okay, basically the technique you use in writing paper is applicable in speaking as well. Okay. All right. Okay, in part 3, you are required to use the prompt given. Okay, you have the prompt, you have 6 points, and then you need to actually construct your idea in proper sentence. Okay, you cannot simply touch on the option by merely mention the points. At least you need to construct a proper sentence, two or three sentence for that option that you have chose. Okay, then you need to elaborate your idea. Avoid using yes or no without elaboration. Okay, I know that some weak student will attempt to just yes, no. Okay, some weak student will give response short, very short response by saying yes and no, but it is not encouraged. You are not encouraged to do so. At least try to give a simple elaboration. Okay, try your best to give at least a simple elaboration will do. And don't forget to use connectors and cohesive devices. Okay, students, connectors and cohesive devices are not only used in writing. Okay, it is helpful, it is useful if you use it in speaking session, in your speaking test. It will help you to organize your idea in proper organization. Okay, and in part 3, okay, you can interact and make eye contact with your partner. Okay, you have your partner beside you, so make sure you interact and look at him or her. Okay, yeah, it is okay if you want to look at the interlocutor, but it will make you feel comfortable and at ease if you can look at your partner. Okay, it shows that you are discussing with someone, with your friend, not with the interlocutor. Okay, and make sure in part 3 you have or you keep balanced conversation and points. Okay, if your friends, okay, within that 2 minutes, if you are able to talk about 2 points, okay, please make sure that your friend can talk about at least 2 points too. Okay, so so that your conversation will look balanced and even. Okay, and it will avoid one side of domination, right? Okay, as I mentioned, in part 3, it is a turn taking session. First, you need to keep turn. Okay, what is keep turn? Okay, keep turn indicates that the speaker is in the process of expressing thought. So it is necessary not to interrupt. Okay, here what it meant is when your friend is talking, okay, do not interrupt the session. Okay, wait for your turn unless your friends ask you for your opinion. Okay, second, take turn. Okay, take turn means or take turn indicates the switch of the role where the listener become the speaker and the speaker become the listener. Okay, let's say for the first session, the one that start will be you will start the conversation, and after you have actually say everything about the point, then you pass the turn to your friends. Then your friend will take the turn to speak. Okay, remember to take turn and keep the turn. All right, so that you will not have conflict in discussion. All right. Okay, I have a visual here. Even though it is an animation, it still look appetizing. Actually, it's really good. It still looks good. Okay, and this is an image of a cookie. Okay, cookie, a bowl of cookie, and it resemble Oreo cookie. Okay, what is the relation between Oreo cookie and my session today? All right. Okay. For today's session, I will actually share a technique that I have discovered. I have heard about this technique years ago, but I recently come across it again. So I thought, why not I share with you? Okay, about this. Okay, this is not entirely from me. Okay, someone shared it in some collaboration project years ago. So credit to those who actually come out with this. Okay, so I'll share it with you today. Okay, O.R.E.O. Let's dig into what is O.R.E.O. What is the structure of O.R.E.O. meant? Okay, the first one, O here. Sorry. Okay, O is referring to opinion. Okay, first you choose an option and state your opinion. Okay, in part 3, you have a question and you have 6 options. So choose one option and then elaborate, state your point. Okay, maybe you can start with cohesive devices. You can start with sentence starter to state your opinion. Okay, and second, okay, R. R refers to reason. Okay, so first step is you choose an option, an opinion. Sorry, so it's first step. First step, you choose an option and state your opinion. Second, R means that you give reason to justify your opinion. Okay, reason. Okay, giving reason is one way to elaborate the point. Okay, if you can't give reason, okay, you can give elaboration in form of maybe you can say about the causes, the effects of the points. Okay, you can give idea of causes, effects. Okay, that is how you give reason or elaboration for your points. Okay, do not limit yourself to only give reason for elaboration. Okay, elaboration can come in terms of causes, effects. All right, so make sure at least if you can, maybe you can give two reason. But if you are unsure, maybe one reason will be sufficient. Okay, if you're feeling confident, then give more. But make sure you still balance the time with your friends. Okay. Okay, then three. The third layer in O.R.E.O technique is example. Okay, here, example. Okay, here you are encourage. For me, I personally encourage my student to give specific example, or if you can, try to give personal example. You can share your experience here. Okay, make sure you give something, you give example which is something close to you. Do not choose something complicated that is out of context. Okay, if you are confident enough, maybe you can borrow examples from others, but you know how it is in speaking session. Anything can happen. Okay, basically you will feel nervous. So keep things simple, straightforward, but it is correct and suitable. Okay, so if possible, relate everything to yourself. Okay. Okay, next one, the last layer, the last structure of O.R.E.O. Okay, this is referring again to opinion, but you need to restate your opinion, or we call it as reaffirm your opinion. Reaffirm means you rephrase your opinion, your original idea, your original opinion to make it sound convincing. Okay, it is helpful to actually convince or to make it sound like you are convincing your partner. Okay, so let's recap for O.R.E.O technique. Okay, the first layer is opinion. Second layer is giving reason. Okay, third layer comes the example. And the last one is restate opinion. Still, you use the same opinion as the first layer, but you restate it, you rephrase the idea. And okay, again, for last layer, which restate the idea, the opinion, this is also where you ask for your friend's opinion. This is where you change the role to your friends. Okay, you ask your friend whether she is agree or not. Okay, this is where it happened. Okay, basically, uh, the the cycle will start with opinion, reason, example, then opinion. You restate your opinion as well as ask for your friend's opinion. Okay, this is the structure or the template of O.R.E.O technique that you can apply in your practice later on in your school, in your class, or if you want to practice by yourself in front of a mirror. Okay, you can use or try this O.R.E.O technique. Okay, as I mentioned, how to start with your opinion. Use cohesive devices. Okay, use useful phrases. Okay, make sure you start with opinion, reason, example, and then reaffirm your opinion. So basically, for one option, for one point, you only actually need to add, you only need to construct 3 or 4 sentences only. Okay, it's okay if your sentence is in simple sentence as long as your language is correct, your grammar is on point, and then you use suitable vocabulary, and most importantly, it shows your competency. Okay. All right. Here are some useful expressions that you can use to you can apply and use in your speaking later. Okay, first usually you will start with by greeting your partner. Okay, this one is optional. Okay, this one is optional, but it is good. It is better if you can start with greeting. Okay, it will sound polite. And then when you want to start the conversation, when you want to start the discussion, okay, here are some expression, here's phrases that you can use to start. First, you can start, okay, the first option we have, let's talk or discuss about, then you mention the topic. And another option that you have would be, let's begin or let's start by looking at, okay, what would be the topic. Okay, do not directly or do not repeat the question as in original form. Let's say your topic is in question form. It is better for you to actually reconstruct it. Okay, let's say the topic is start by why student love sports. Okay, this is what most of the student always do. Okay, maybe some of the student will start by saying, let's talk about why student love sports. Okay, instead of repeating the question starting by why, you can rephrase it by saying, let's talk about the reason students love sport. Okay, you change the word why into reason. Okay, it will make it, first the sentence will be clearer, and it will make and you will show an impression that you are good enough to actually substitute your vocab. Okay, and then there are other phrases here. Let's move on to the topic. Today we are going to talk about, how do you think about this? Shall we start with this? To begin with, shall we talk about, okay, for my student, there are certain expression that they love. Okay, obviously they prefer the shortest one, and another one, they love this one. Okay, I did not say that you need to use all of this, but starting from today, you can choose one of this and just practice using it. Okay, okay, now let's look at the expressions or the phrases that you can use when you are giving your opinion or when you try to give reason. Okay, you standard classic example or classic phrases student use will be, in my opinion, I think, my opinion is, for me, okay, it is great. Okay, that there are plenty of this. So choose. Okay, let's say you have 6 points, so you can get ready with 6 options here. Okay, maybe you can choose, my opinion is, for me. Okay, I think. Okay, and then I really think, or to be honest. Okay, maybe you choose three and your partner choose three. Just stick to that one until you finish your speaking task. Okay, it would make, actually, the cohesive devices, this the sentence starter, you can pick and choose and use it throughout the session. Okay, you does not need to change it. Okay, that is the beauty of having cohesive devices and sentence starter. It helps you, and it it is applicable for all topic. Okay, it is suitable to be used for all topic. Okay. Okay, and after you have finished with your turn, after you have completed your turn, you have said your opinion, reason, example, and you have reaffirmed your opinion, you need to pass the turn to your friends. Then you can pass it by asking if your partner agree with your opinion. Okay, here are some phrases that you can use to ask for your partner's agreement. Okay, you can say, how about you? What is your opinion about this? What do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you, what is your opinion about that? Do you think it is important too? Or are you on the same page with me? Okay, there are plenty of uh, uh, phrases that you can use. Again, choose straight away, choose and apply it in your speaking practice with your partner. Okay, once you ask for your partner agreement, so your partner should respond by giving, by showing or stating the agreement whether she agree or disagree, whether your partner agree or disagree with you. So to show that the candidate agree, that to show that you are agree with the partner's opinion, you can say, I agree. Yes, I totally quite agree with you. I think you are absolutely right. That is a good idea. That is a good point. Okay, anything that express your agreement. But if you disagree with your friend's point, you can say, I don't really agree. I am afraid I don't agree. I don't think that it is a very good idea. Are you sure about that? Do you really think that? Okay, so here you have option here as okay. This is an option. This is some of the options. But if you already have phrases that you have been using, so keep doing that. Okay, this is just another options for you. Okay. And now, how or what can you say if you want to reaffirm your opinion? Okay, when you are reaffirming your idea, you can say, I still stand by my opinion because, okay, then give your reason. Okay, it's still, you can still use the same reason actually, but simplify or rephrase it. My stance hasn't changed since. I firmly believe, without a doubt, I think, okay, as I mentioned earlier, let me stress again that I respect your view, yet I still think, ultimately, I believe, okay, but I know that some of these are quite difficult to pronounce and it is about quite long. Maybe you can use, I firmly believe, as I mentioned earlier, or you can use cursive devices such as thus, so, hence, okay, or you can say all in all, okay, anything that shows you are tying up your idea. All right. Okay, and then in the second phase of part three, you need to give decision. You need to make decision with your friends. So, in order to actually clarify, to make this clear that you have made decision, these are some phrases that you can use to show that yes, we have made a decision. Okay, you can say, so we agree that, okay, right, let's make a decision. I think we will choose. Do we think that the best one is? Okay, in the end, we think because, okay, so to sum up, the best choice is, so do we agree that topic or the point option is the best option? Okay, you can use this actually indicator to show that you are making a decision with your friends. You have come to a decision. Okay, what happened if at the end of the session you cannot or you do not have enough time to actually say these phrases? Okay, do not try. Okay, do not be afraid, because let's say during your decision making process session, the interlocutor and the assessor will listen to you, and they actually will assess you based on whether during the process you show some agreement or not on that point. Okay, so but please try your best to actually come with a decision within 1 minute. Okay, now I have a sample here. Okay, the topic is how to keep friendship strong. Okay, if you notice, okay, it start with a question. Okay, as I mentioned, it is, if possible, do not repeat the question in original form. Okay, so based on this question, how to keep friendship strong? Okay, how? How referring to way or ways. So when you start your discussion, your topic, you can say, let's discuss about ways to keep a friendship strong. Okay, instead of saying, let's start or let's talk about how to keep friendship strong. Okay, it is still correct, but it is better if you can change or substitute or rephrase the topic. Okay, and here are some. There are 6 options given here, and I know that you are aware that your preparation time is only 20 seconds. So you need to start today and actually decide with your partner to actually use 20 second to think and to construct your idea. I do not encourage you to actually use the 20 second to choose. Okay, I want this, you do that. Okay, I take this, you take that. Okay, you will lose the 20 second by just doing that. Okay, it is helpful if, okay, you decide today, you decide from now. Okay, based on this 6 point, which 3 parts candidate A and which 3 part candidate B take. Okay, decide from today. Whatever it is, stick to the rule. So that when you receive the question paper in front of you, you only focus on that 3 points of yours. And then your partner will focus on the 3 points of hers. Then you will use the 20 second to fully focus on your points only. Then you will feel a bit more confident to talk or to deliver your idea. Since you have 20 seconds to think, to fully think about the idea. Okay? Okay. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Okay. So for this point, we have for this question, we have points of the options of learn to forgive, okay, be supportive, keep secret, respect, spend time together, and open to criticism. Okay, right. Okay, here some template, sample dialogue, a template that you can use to construct your idea. So notice here, can we discuss in Malay language? Okay, which part do you mean discuss in Malay language? Fauza, do you mean when you are trying to choose the point? Okay. When during your when you are given the question, when you are given the question, the 6 option. Okay. Yes, I understand that you student usually say, okay, kau ambil ni, aku ambil ini. Okay, you take that, I take this. Okay. Some of you might use your mother tongue, which is Malay. uh, During that session, you are not assessed. So I want to say that you are allowed, but you can, but do not make it obvious. Okay? Do not make it so obvious that you are using Malay language. Okay? Try to tone it down. Try to minimalize it. Okay? All right. Okay. Candidate A usually will start the discussion. So candidate A will open the discussion. So candidate A can start by saying hi, then mention the name of the partner. Let's discuss about, okay, the topic just now will be ways to keep friendship strong. Okay. Then candidate A, after you indicate that you are opening the discussion, you choose one of the option and say your opinion. In my opinion, okay, in my opinion, okay, let's say candidate A start by spending time together. In my opinion, spending time together is a way to keep keep friendship strong. Okay, so you have choose your point. Spending time together. Then give reason. This is because, okay, that make sure when you give reason, it is, you can say the simple reason. This is because when we spend, sorry, when we spend, sorry, when we spend a lot of time together, we can know each other better. Okay, so when you spend a lot of time with one another, we can know each other better. So, for example, okay, try to relate the example with yourself. Okay, maybe you can say, for example, um, I always play chess with my friends. So, we are as close as family right now. That is why I strongly yes, believe spending time together helps to keep friendship strong. Okay, you reaffirm your opinion, then you ask your partner, what do you think? Then your partner will respond using the points, okay? His or her point. Okay, okay, so candidate B will answer, you are right. I think, okay, just, okay, so candidate B, it is okay if you just respond, you are right. Yes, I agree with you. Then start with your opinion. Okay, let's see, what is the, um, the option for candidate B? Okay, here, keep secret. Let's take keep secret. You are right. I think keeping secret is also one of the way. Okay, you can stop that. The reason is, okay, the reason is, okay, maybe you can use the word as trustworthy. We can trust your friends. Okay, no one love telltale. Okay. For instance, you can relate with yourself. And then, okay, again, you have reaffirm your opinion. This further support my view that, okay, keeping secret is a way to keep friendship strong. Okay? All right. Okay, now this is the continuation from that. Okay, let's have a look at making decision. Oh, sorry. Let's say during that 2 minute duration, you are only able to talk about one point, and then your partner also able to talk about only one point. What will happen for you? What will happen to you? Are your mark going to be deducted? Okay, that will be the concern of many students, even my student itself, themselves. Okay, don't worry if you only manage to talk about one point. Okay, the objective of speaking test is not to see how many content points you can talk about. Okay, the speaking test is to test your ability to deliver, to convey your idea, to see how you keep your interaction with your friends, with people around you. It's basically to test you on your ability to speak only. That's why if you notice, if you have seen the assessment scale, okay, there are no scale for content. You only have vocabulary, grammar, communicative competence, and overall spoken performance. Okay, you do not have, okay, different from from writing. We have content scale, but for speaking we do not have content scale. So do not worry too much if you only manage to talk about one point. Okay, all right. Okay, for decision making part, okay, again, you can use O.R.E.O technique. Okay, O.R.E.O technique is applicable for actually all parts. Okay, part 2, part 3, decision making, as well as hot question. Okay, so here is actually the template. Okay, you can use this template straight away for you to, oh sorry, for your practice for any topic. Okay, you just need to insert your points and your idea here. Okay, I do not have soft copy for this that I can share in the live session, but you can actually screenshot this. Okay, print screen this. Okay, if you need to, if you want to. Okay, for part 3 decision making, maybe, okay, for decision making, any candidate can start first. It does not necessarily candidate A start the decision making. Okay, it can start, candidate B can start. Okay, but traditionally, candidate A start first. Okay, candidate A, maybe for decision making, you can start by saying, what do you think we should decide on? I personally think that, okay, here, give your point. Is the, okay, maybe you can say, the best to keep friendship strong. This is because, okay, you can actually give reason, okay, rephrase the reason given earlier. Okay, you can reuse the reason that you have mentioned before in the discussion, or you can rephrase the reason used or mentioned by your partner. Okay, you does not necessarily come with new reason. Okay, I know that it can be challenging, it can be difficult to come out with new reason. So you can just simply rephrase the aforementioned reason. Okay, for instance, so give example. Maybe here you can come up with new example if possible. I firmly believe that, okay, the points again, opinion. Do you agree with me? Okay, then candidate B will support and agree. The candidate B will actually say the agreement or decision phrases. That is a good point. I also think that, okay, point. Okay, this one is topic. The reason is, okay, you give your reason. Rephrase your friend's reason, your reason, okay, to further illustrate, okay, again, example. Then the difference is in decision making, the last O for candidate B is to show agreement. Okay, it seems like we both agree that, okay, restate the point is the best point, the best way. All right. Okay. I have another sample for you that you can practice at school, or you can practice with your partner, or even practice by yourself. Okay, why do teenagers enjoy outdoor activity? Okay, we have love nature, increase creativity, develop social skill, physical health, relieve stress, independent. Okay, as usual, we have 6 bullet points. So divide it by yourself, divided it with your partner. Okay. Okay. Now let's proceed to hot question. Okay, hot question. is something that I look forward to. Okay, and it is tricky, it is challenging, it is confusing for most students. Okay, but I always tell my student that if you get hot question, if you manage to answer hot question, you should be happy to leave the speaking test room. Okay, okay. Hot question is actually not that difficult. It's just that the way the question is put, make it sound confusing for you. So today we will still use the O.R.E.O technique to answer hot question. Okay. Hot question. What is hot question? Hot question is referring to higher order thinking skills question. Okay, where where it's require critical thinking. There will be you need to do the analysis and evaluation on on certain topic. Okay, this is the part where you show your maturity. Okay, hot question in hot question you need to evaluate, justify your point as well as give balanced view instead of just saying yes and no. Okay. Okay, again it happened actually. Especially for weak or low proficiency student, they tend to say or they tend to answer as yes and no only for hot question without explanation, without proper reason or example, or without proper justification. All right. Okay. This is some things that you need to actually do when you get the question. Okay, first, you need to understand the question type. Okay, what type of question is that? Okay, does it ask you for suggestion? Does it ask you to give prediction? Okay, and use a framework to answer. Framework here means the technique, the O.R.E.O technique. And then make sure to use connectors. Simple connectors, in my opinion. This is because, okay, for example, okay, it's okay to use simple connectors as long as you are able to use that. Okay, understanding the question. Okay, hot question can be varied. Okay, it can come in various form, in various structure, in various starter. So here are some common question types that comes out in speaking test. First, the hot question can ask you for your opinion. Okay, hot question can ask you to give your opinion about certain issue, certain topic. And then another type of question might ask you to evaluate the situation or evaluate the topic. And don't be surprised if you get a question asking you to give prediction. And okay, it is better, it is easy if you get question where it require you to give suggestion or a way to solve. Okay, but for me personally, the easiest one will be to give opinion. If you get hot question where you need to give your opinion, then it will really be helpful for you. Okay, classic hot question. Okay, there are, as I mentioned, hot question can come in various sentence. But for me personally, these three starters would be the most difficult one. Okay, the most challenging one because it tends to confuse the student. Okay, first we have question where it start with to what extent does. Okay, my student will panic when they hear the sentence to what extent. Okay, the same case with in what way does or how far do you agree? That okay. These three classic host questions actually can no, I'm not sure about all students, but actually for my student, yes, they are quite confused with the host question that start with this starter. So we will have a look at what each starter, what each task indicate or how to answer that. Okay, let's have a look at the question, the hot question that start with to what extent. Okay, to when you get the question of to what extent, okay, what does it want? Okay, the examiners actually wants you to measure the level of agreement or importance. Okay, you need to actually mention the level of the extent, whether it is large extent, certain extent, to some extent. So how to answer that question? How can you start answering that question? You can stay by, okay, to certain extent, to large extent, to some extent. Okay, let me just quickly write here. To some extent, to certain extent. And then you give your opinion as usual. Give reason, example, and then reaffirm your opinion. Okay. Okay, here are the sentence starter that you can use to answer question that start with to what extent. You have to a large extent, I believe, I partly agree because this is true in certain cases. Okay, on the other hand, or you can also say, therefore, I would say to a great or small extent. Then continue with your justification, elaboration. All right. Okay, let's have a look at a sample question. Okay, here. To what extent does, okay, sorry. Okay, to what extent is recycling effective in solving environmental problem? So first, you need to indicate the level. How far? Okay, the level of agreement. Okay, and then the topic is recycling. Solve environmental problem. Okay, so when the interlocutor actually give you the word, say the question, make sure you capture the keywords. Okay, recycling, solve environmental problem. Then you can answer the question. So the sample answer here is, I think recycling helps to some extent. Okay, some extent here it means that you have answered to what extent. So now you give your opinion. Or sorry, you give your reason. Reduce waste and save resource. Example of reduce waste and save resource. Okay, example, turning plastic into new product. So I believe, okay, this one is reaffirm. So for hot question, okay, this is the O, this is R, okay, again, this is E, and I believe is O. So we still use the O.R.E.O technique for hot question. Alright, let's look at this second question. And the second starter of hot question. In what way? Okay, in what way? So actually, this is a bit simple. It's just that when the lembaga, the examination syndicate put in what way, the candidate become nervous. Okay. Okay. So in what way actually the examiners wants you to explain methods or give example of how something happened. Method, you need to suggest way actually. Okay, how you do that. Okay, and how to answer, use connectors like one way, another way. Okay, this also help. In short, okay, focus on the process, method, and effect. Be detailed. Okay, if possible, be detailed. Do not just mere mention the way that you are suggesting. Okay. Okay, the sentence starter would be one way is because, another way is. Okay, here are the sentence starter that you can use to answer the hot question that start with in what way. Okay, we have the sample question here. In what way does culture shape people's identity? Okay, in what way does? So you know that in what way it's referring to suggesting a way or two. Okay, for quite hot question, you do not you are not actually specified to give how many points. Okay, it is okay if you can just talk about one way or one point. Okay, does culture shape people's identity? So the focus is on the culture and people identity. Okay, people, how people bring themselves, how people carry themselves, their identity. So the sample question here, I think culture shape our identity in many ways. Okay, many ways here is the opinion. Okay. Okay, so you have mentioned the opinion of in many ways. So what would be the reason? Okay, the reason would be here. Affect, language, food, and tradition. These are the reasons. Okay. Okay, you have given your opinion, you give your reason, so you need to mention your example. Example, Hari Raya. So we have here example. Then you tied up your opinion by reaffirm your opinion, your justification by saying here you can say culture play an important role. So this is opinion. All right. Okay. Uh, okay. Another one. Okay. How far do you agree? Okay, this is a bit challenging because you don't know how to measure how far. Far would be kilometer for my students. Okay, they used to say far, teacher, kilometer, meter, centimeter. Okay, that is not what the question asks you, my dear students. Okay, what it want is the examiner is testing whether you can take a position, whether you agree fully, whether you partly agree, or whether you disagree to that statement. Okay, so how to answer that? First, you need to take a position. You can say, I strongly agree, I disagree, and again, justify with clear reasons. Okay, make sure your reasoning is relevant and actually fully developed. Okay, reason that are fully developed. Okay, the sentence starter that you can use to actually answer this type of question would be, okay, you can start by, I strongly agree because, okay, I partly agree as, okay, give your point, you give your justification. However, okay, this is optional. Okay, you do not need to mention, you do not need to continue with the however if you are not able to. For instance, nevertheless, it is also important to note, okay, therefore, I mostly, partly disagree. Okay, maybe. So these are a sentence starter that you can use to express your opinion on this box question that start with how far do you agree. All right. Sample question. How far do you agree that science has improved humans' life? Okay, how far? Okay, so when you decide of how far, okay, decide straight away whether you want to agree or disagree. Agree or disagree. If you want to agree, how? How? To what extent? To what level of agreement? Do you strongly agree? Partly agree? Or maybe you can say you fully believe in it. Okay, hi Dixon Teo. Okay, I am actually towards the end of my session, but welcome. All right, so you can maybe later you can replay the video in YouTube to revise everything that I have shared. Okay, strongly or partly, fully agree. So if you decide to agree, okay, start with partly, strongly or fully agree. So if you disagree, you can say I strongly disagree with the opinion. Okay, and then science has improved human life. The keyword here is science improve life. Okay, how science has improved your life? You can relate with AI. You can relate with the education. You can relate with the um, medicine, okay, health, okay, or you can relate with how you shop, right? This basically the science is actually relate to technology too. You can relate everything to technology. When we are talking about science, you can relate to technology. Okay, the way you shop, the way you order food, the way you study. Okay, so let's have a look at sample answer here. I agree that science has made life better. So this is again the opinion. Okay, you can just simply say I agree without I strongly or partly agree. It gives us modern medicine, fast communication, and safer transport. Okay, modern fast communication and safer transport. Okay, this will be the reason. Okay, genetic modified organism. Wow, that will be another level. Yes, again, it's related to science. Okay, for example, vaccine. Okay, save many life every year. So I agree, but I think we must use science carefully. So this is sure that you have balanced idea, you have balanced point, you have balanced perspective. And again, it shows that you are matured in your delivery, in conveying your message. All right. Okay. For hot question, um, my student used to ask me, teacher, can we say something negative, which is disagree? I, I, I do not have experience on this. Okay, I have not experienced this. Can we say that? Okay, the answer is yes. Okay, for host question, you does not necessarily need to agree with everything. Okay, you can say no, but with reason, with justification, with relevant elaboration. Okay, do not limit or do not strict to yourself to only say yes in host question. Okay, make sure whatever you are saying relate to yourself, relate with your experience. Let's say the topic asks you about shopping, online shopping. If you have not experienced, if you do not have experience on online shopping, yes, you can be honest and say that I'm sorry, this topic is not familiar to me because I I do not have online shopping platform, but I have seen my friends use it. It is convenient. Okay, you can say that even though you do not have experience, but you can borrow experience of others. Okay, this will be another question that you can practice with your friends at school. Okay, to what extent does having virtual friends a risk to teenager? Okay, to what extent just now? You need to say to a certain extent, to large extent, to some extent. Okay, so the topic is virtual friends. Virtual friends mean online friends. Okay, most students will confuse or start with the word virtual. Okay, virtual means online, online friends, the people that you met online from social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, Thread. Okay, those are the virtual friends. A risk means harm or maybe bring danger or unsafe for teenager. So why the people that you met online, that you know online, can be harmful or can be dangerous to you? Okay, the teenager is you, so you can relate with you. Okay, so that will make things easier for you to answer. And uh, since you cannot see the question, okay, you does not necessarily repeat the question. You can say, I agree to large extent. I agree to some extent because, okay, okay, this is the sample question, the sample answer for the question. I think having virtual friends can be risky for teenagers to some extent. Okay, you can say the reason this is because some people online are not honest. Okay, there are scammers. Okay, for example, you can give scammers, you can do phishing. Okay, for example, teenager may share personal information and get scammed or bullied. Okay, you can also say cyberbullying. You can choose example that. So I believe it is risky, and teenagers must be careful with virtual friends. Okay, this is how you can answer the hot question. Okay, sample 2. How far do you agree that money brings happiness? This is something which is familiar to you. All right. So for this one, I think I want you to practice by your own. Okay, using this structure, give your opinion, reason, example, and reaffirm. O.R.E.O technique. Okay. Okay. Another sample question, another question that you can practice by your own would be, in what way does technology change how we learn? Okay, this is in terms of technology and education. Okay, this is again another question which is closely related to you. Okay, again the template. Okay, and then, oh, that will be all. Okay, just a recap. For today's session, I actually not introduced, I shared a technique called O.R.E.O. O stand for opinion, R stand for reason, E stand for example or evidence, and then the last O stand for opinion, where you reaffirm or you restate your opinion. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, this actually structure is not only applicable for speaking, you can also use it for writing. Okay, I always say to my students that speaking is actually writing in verbal form, and writing is actually you are speaking, you are delivering your thought in writing form. So the technique that you use for writing and speaking are intertwined. So you can actually use it here and there. Okay, and you does not use my technique that I have shared. Okay, it's just another option of technique for you to use. Choose whichever technique that you are comfortable with. All right. So before I end my session, I would like to give credit to Majlis Datuk Negeri Melaka again for sponsoring this program, and kudos to Pejabat Pendidikan Daerah Jasin as well as my friends in panel module Marshal PD Jasin for sharing the ideas, the techniques, or the tips that I've used today. All right. So with that, thank you and have a good weekend. Assalamualaikum.